Welcome to Pegasus Games, home of the games you never outgrow, and this is Commander Corner with Tanner. Today I'll be talking about the Kaldheim Commander deck, Elven Empire. This one's headlined by Lathril Blade of the Elves, and while I do think it's a very strong commander deck, I do think there's some potential upgrades we can definitely go down for this deck. Number one, I do think it could use some more token generation, as well as having better or different lords in the deck. Elven lords meaning +1/+1 and giving your elves abilities. And then the last one is just having more, as colloquially called, mana dorks in the deck. Because going through, I only found one or two. So with that, the token generation, the biggest card that I thought of was actually called Hunting Triad. It's a card from Lorwyn block, and it's for 3 and a green tribal sorcery elf, and you make 3 1/1 elf warrior creature tokens. It also has reinforce for 3, and you can pay 4 mana, discard it, and put 3 counters on one of your creatures, making Lathril potentially bigger. The other cards that came to mind were Tyvar Kell, the new Planeswalker from Kaldheim, which is currently sitting at about $5 to $10, so it's not too much out of people's price range, but has 3 tremendous abilities, the biggest one being Elves tap for swamp mana. As well as having a 0 ability of making a 1/1 elf each turn. The other card that came to mind was Freyalise, Llanowar's Fury, because she herself also has an ability of +1 make a 1/1 elf that taps for mana. The second path that I kind of wanted to go down was having more of the Elven Lords. And the biggest elf that came to mind here was actually Azuri Renegade Leader. While not an Elven Lord in and of himself, he does give elves for 5 mana +3/+3 and trample, as well as you can pay a green to regenerate target elf. While he is a little more on the expensive side, sitting at about $15 right now, he's just such a powerful card for this style of deck that I think he's very important. There's also the other card, Elvish Champion, giving all elves +1/+1, as well as Forest Walk. And 9 times out of 10, when you sit down in a commander game, someone else is going to have some forest that you can swing into. And then for the mana dorks, there's some missing from this deck. There's an Elvish Mystic in this deck, but after that, that's about it. There's an Llanowar Elves, Fyndhorn Elves, even Arbor Elf as very good 1 mana dorks that can tap to add mana to your mana pool. And then one that I recently found, a card called Llanowar Mentor. You can pay a green, tap it, discard a card, and make a Llanowar Elf, essentially. And it just seems very strong. I believe it's sitting currently at about $2 to $3. But having such a great mana efficiency / outlet for your elves just seems very strong in my opinion. And then a personal favorite of mine, Draga Tree Speaker. It's a 1 mana elf for a 1/1, but it has level up for 1 and a green. You can pay 1 and a green to put a level up counter on it, and as it levels up, it gets more abilities. The first level ability is it can tap to add green to your mana pool. And then its second one is elves you control add green to your mana pool. Add green to your mana pool. Just a very strong with lots of mana, and allows you to do more things on each of your turns because it has all of that mana. And with that idea, there's also a few cards in here that I don't know if they synergize very well with what the commander's already trying to do. And with that, the cards that I kind of thought I was taking out and kind of replacing are cards like Harvest Season, Turgid's Shadow, Llanowar Tribe. They are good cards, they're just not impactful enough, in my opinion. Whereas Harvest Season, you get to go get X basic lands, where X is the amount of tapped creatures you control. But only having 2, maybe 3 creatures that are tapped at any given moment until you're doing like Lathril's tap her and tap 10 elves to deal 10 damage. I don't think it's quite impactful enough as a mana ramp spell or anything. Whereas Turgid's Shadows only destroys 2 creatures from each player, and there's just better options in that, like Elvish Dreadlord, which gives all non-elves -3/-3 when it dies. And then Llanowar Tribe has tap for 3 green, which is usually very strong, but already requires 3 green mana to play. And if you're playing like Llanowar Elves, Elvish Mystic, and Finhorn Elves or something, you're looking at you can get 3 mana a lot sooner than turn 3 and tapping more elves for more mana in general. Some more other cards that I thought about taking out was Cultivator of Blades and Endwraith Forerunners, because while those are the big, splashy, I'm going to win cards, if you have cards like Azuri Renegade Leader, or even a new card printed at Kaldheim with Elvish Warcaller, they both have an ability that gives all of your elves +X, Azuri is +3, War Master, is +2/+2, and that will give your elves a larger range instead of just +2/+2 for each of the cards I mentioned previously with Cultivator of Blades and Endwraith Forerunners. Also, with how low of a mana curve elves usually require, and with how heavy intense elves are on green, you could even potentially cut like a Swamp in the Myriad Landscape, because you'll use your elf creatures more for mana than you will actually your lands. And with that, those are the kind of the big cards that I thought about taking out versus putting in. This is my take on Lathril Blade of the Elves, and I hope you guys enjoyed. Let me know if you guys have any comments or any suggestions in the comment section below. Otherwise, hope you guys have a great rest of your day.